Visited the United States as a World Grand Prix motocross champion. Not once, but 3 times, the South African earned the #1 plate on the roughest racetracks in the world. He then took his credentials to the world's most prestigious series to do battle against the world's fastest riders. His American Supercross debut, however, was quickly crushed with the pains of injury. The pressure of living up to the high expectations created a need to exceed his limits. Finally, with new knowledge mixed with old skills, he created a breakthrough, his first moto win at Mount Morris, Pennsylvania. But Moto 2 in a position for the overall again. He pushes too hard. Then came Unadilla last week. Greg Albertine gave back to his believers, bringing Suzuki their first overall victory in 15 years. Welcome back to Kenworthy Motocross Park in Troy, Ohio. It is the home track of one of the strongest independent race teams on the AMA motocross circuit, Honda of Troy. Receptions and sponsorship gatherings have taken place throughout the week. Family and friends are trackside as the crew's ready the bikes for the opening 250 moto. A little extra incentive for the Honda of Troy riders.
It's going to be nice if I do exceptionally well here for the home crowd, for the home team. But I go out there and try to do the best I can every weekend, so this weekend's no different.
Larry Ward coming off a 3rd place finish in Moto 2 in the last event at Unadilla certainly has improved recently his performance as they work on Swank's bike and the other Honda of Troy riders. This team with a big psychological boost with the announcement that Mike Kudrowski will be joining them next year. Riders at the starting line now. Jeff Emig starting to rev things up. And let's go to Marty Reed.
One of the interesting characteristics of Kenworthy Motocross Park is the abundance of trees, but it creates a dilemma. A lot of sunshiny areas that lead into a very dry section of racing, but then you come into the trees where there's plenty of shade, where it's still very wet. Take a look at some of the tire choice combinations. On Jeremy McGrath's bike, notice how much gap there is here. These will work better in the muddy area. Then go over to Jeff Emig right here. He's got it set up pretty much for a glider combination. We'll see which setup is the one that's successful.
Of course, Jeremy elects to go with the Dunlop tires and Emig with the Bridgestones. Once out on the racetrack, they're about the same, but off the start, Emig's been hooking up with that Bridgestone.
Jeremy McGrath, despite 5 overall wins and dominating each moto, has only a 47-point lead on Jeff Emig. Emig, real nemesis was that 8th place moto finish at Unadilla, David.
That was unfortunate. Sign is sideways. This guy's about ready to go.
And they're off for Moto 1 and the 250's underway. Let's see who hooks up the best. It's Jeff Emig out in front, number 2. Jean-Sebastian Roy is also up there near 2nd place.
This is one of the faster starts in the season. Jeremy gets a little cross-rutted, almost goes down right there.
In 2nd place now, Greg Albertine of Team Suzuki, right behind Emig. So it is Emig, Albertine, Roy, and Jeremy McGrath on the inside. On the outside, there's Larry Ward, number 6. So Honda of Troy has one in the lead group.
Looks like Larry Ward had a shot at moving into 2nd there for a moment, but it's going to be tough getting around Greg Albertine. Greg grabbed a handful of throttle off the backside of that tunnel jump, moving into 2nd. He's fast.
What a smooth inside move by Jeremy McGrath, moving into 3rd place quickly.
He's slick. I don't know if he got it. I think Larry Ward stole it away from him again, but he sure let him know he was there. Albertine and McGrath both. These guys are so fast in the opening laps, but Jeff Emig has been fantastic off the gate. I haven't been keeping track of his hole shots, but he's gotten a bunch of them here lately.
Glad you asked, David. That's his 3rd consecutive hole shot, but of course he's king of the hole shots as far as the season is concerned.
Well, he's been consistent off the gate. Even when he doesn't get the hole shot, he's right there. Just as you pointed out a little earlier, though, that at 8th place at Unadilla, he had the hole shot and went down the first lap. So his opportunities from up front have been many.
There you see Hughes just going by. As we have Emig, Albertine, Ward, and McGrath, the top 4 riders. McGrath making his move once again on Larry Ward.
There wasn't much room right there. Larry just drifted over into that outside berm, left just enough for McGrath. He knows that he's got to get around everybody quick. Otherwise, he could be following Larry Ward for 2 or 3 more laps. Now it would allow Emig to get away. Pulls a tearaway right there. The front end washed out just a little bit. That's why these guys wait till they get to a jump. They don't have to worry about the bike dancing around while they clear their vision.
Emig has been able to beat Jeremy McGrath at least one moto over the last 2 events. McGrath is dominating as he's been with 5 wins and 13 moto victories. Still needs more points to feel safe in the championship points race.
Now he's opened up a little gap over Larry Ward and closed it right in on Albertine. So now Albertine, who's coming off of an overall win, perhaps a little confidence booster, seems to be a little bit more patient these days. He's learning what it takes to run with these guys consistently throughout the moto, but see if he can handle this pressure from Jeremy.
Number 16 getting the first Suzuki overall victory in 15 years.
You see that incredible balance there from Jeremy as he went over the top of that jump, realized he was a little bit too far to the inside, and rather than moving the bike, he just changed his body, almost grazed the tires with his shoulder there just to stay on line and not lose any speed.
Albertine having a rough initiation to the American scene, but has got things in hand in second place. As we take a look at the field summary, Jeff Emig still our leader, and we'll be back with more Moto 1 250. First 250 moto of the afternoon from Kenworthy's Motocross Park, and Jeremy McGrath having a little bit of trouble with that particular tight turn. But look at Jeff Emig has picked up some streamers, the flags.
Looked like he got him around that right-hander coming out of the woods there. He drifted a little wide. That's actually a good line out there, but picked up the banners. So now maybe he's not going to have a rear brake here pretty quick. Typically.
Look at Albertine. He doesn't know whether to ride on it and take him out of it maybe or miss it.
Well, it's going to mess up his concentration, that's for sure. You know what happens when somebody yanks the carpet out from underneath you. That's what could happen to Albertine.
Let's go to Marty.
Jeremy, the cameras have picked up something. It looks like a streamer that's caught up inside the wheel, the rear wheel of Jeff's bike. Are you aware of it, or are you worried about it?
We're aware of it. We've seen it. I've seen it going behind the bike, but we think it's on the sprocket side. They're going to check it out right now. That's what I was doing on the headset, was finding out. But they're starting to say it's in the brakes, but I don't think it is. Hope not, anyway.
What happens if it's in the brake?
It'll start melting on there, and then it breaks. Will probably go away for a few laps, but hopefully it's not on there.
They're keeping their fingers crossed down here.
Well, that should bring some concern, whether it's on the brake side or not, because if it's on the sprocket side, that could get in there and throw the chain. So either way, I don't think Emig really knows it's back there right now, but he will the first time he steps on the brake pedal, and no brake.
Yes, that's a surprise. Here's the real battle now for second place. Greg Albertine trying to hold on as Jeremy McGrath is showing him all kinds of look-sees. He gets that red fender out there in that peripheral vision to say, hey, I am here.
Well, Albertine knows how many times Jeremy has caught and passed him, so that's going to be in his memory. However, lately, he's been running about the same pace. So I think the odds are in Jeremy's favor to probably work his way around Albertine, but I don't know. It depends on how bad he wants it. Oh, a little mistake right there is all it took.
And a nice jump for Jeremy, making a clean pass of it as he picks the rut to drive through. Jeremy McGrath now in second place. So it's Emig, McGrath, and Albertine. Can he catch Emig? He's got lots of time.
There's plenty of time, and Jeremy's got the pace to do it. And he also can look up the track and see banners streaming from behind Emig's bike, so now's the time to go for it.
Time for our Suzuki flashback.
The year's 1988. Second time they'd ever held a national here at Kenworthy's Motocross Park. Still got grass in the starting line. They had a torrential downpour, which soaked the track, but by race time, at least in one line, it was dry, and Guy Cooper took the early lead in the first moto. Guy Airtime Cooper, finding this Supercross-style track to his liking, went on to take the first moto win. But in the second moto, number 3, George Holland, also factory Honda, came out tough. Picked up the second moto win and the overall, which eventually led to his only 125 national title. And last we heard, Greg was farming almonds in Northern California, and his career was cut short by a nagging shoulder injury. Shoulder just wouldn't stay in the socket.
Back to the action now as Mike LaRocco is starting to move up through the pack. You see Ryan Hughes, number 5, and they are pursuing Honda of Troy's Brian Swink.
LaRocco just cuts right across in front of him. He earned that, man. He was going outside, inside, trying to go anywhere he could not to follow, and paid off for him.
LaRocco moving into 5th spot. He's been in the top 5 since Glen Helen. The highlight so far of Mike's season is second overall at Mount Morris, registering a 2-3.
Right now, he's looking pretty good. He seems to have a little bit faster pace than these other two guys. I think Hughes is capable of going fast too for the entire moto, that is. Swank is quick. He won't make it easy for these guys. He's the kind of guy that can get right back in there and pass LaRocco back, throw him out of his timing, and he'll make it tough for Hughes as well. But Hughes is a fighter. He will never give up on Swank.
A situation for Swank as well, that he has not signed for next year. There is still one position open for Honda of Troy, maybe, with the signing of Mike Kudrowski, Larry Ward, and Michael Craig. It leaves Swank out in the cold so far.
It's even a little colder because he's had one of his worst seasons lately, and Ryan Hughes gets around him, out breaks him into the corner through the mechanics area. And if you're Swank right now, you're just thinking, okay, maybe there's still a chance to get signed if I put together some really strong rides. So every race from here on out is important for him.
Ryan Hughes, nice job here last year in the 125s. He had a 2-2 behind Lampson's sweep.
Just when Hughes had a lot of momentum going, he did so well in the opener at Gainesville, his first ride on a 250. He was looking like perhaps second place the overall in the 250 Supercross, and the injury to the jaw. So now it's just a learning season for him.
So far, the banners wrapping around Emmig's rear wheel hasn't hindered his performance. We'll be back. Back at Kenworthy's Motocross Park in Troy, Ohio. Our leader here in Moto number 1 for the 250s is Jeff Emig, number 2. The banners are still in the wheel, but it doesn't look like a problem, David.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, if it was going to be a problem, it would have already affected him by now. And it does seem to be on the sprocket side, but they're clear of the chain, so that's pretty lucky.
Jeff Emig, our leader, with Jeremy McGrath in second place, playing catch-up right now. And here's Ryan Hughes, who has passed LaRocco during our commercial break. He is in 5th, but he wants the 4th spot, currently held by Larry Ward, and is putting the heat on Ward.
Looks like he's going to get it, too, the way he's caught it. He's turned up the heat. Ryan is quick. He's a strong finisher. I think between these two guys, I know Larry's motivated, and he's always done well here. He had a good ride in the second moto last week at Unadilla, but Hughes is tough, and he's going to fight him all the way to the end. That's a lot of pressure to deal with.
Well, it's obviously Ryan Hughes is feeling a lot better and stronger as he has had to condition himself during the races, really.
Well, it's kind of a nice luxury to have. I mean, there's not really anything that he's going for in terms of the title for the rest of the season, so he's just sort of racing his way back into shape. And he's getting a little bit stronger as the season continues. Like I said, this is his first season on 250, and he's just learning as much as he can, so next year, hopefully, he can win a title.
Ward really reaching a season's peak right about now, as Hughes gets the inside draw in the corner and moves into 4th.
Hughes just set it up coming out of that right-hander before the pass. He just positioned himself to the inside, got up alongside of Larry Ward, and wasn't much Larry could do but just try to jump the double clean, and Ryan was in the way, so he had to just concede.
Ward getting a slow start on the Supercross season with a broken thumb. Finally reached a peak during the Supercross season, and then a big lull, really, in getting the outdoor season underway.
Now you can see LaRocco got a second wind here. He doesn't like getting passed. He's typically the guy that's doing all the passing, coming from, I'd say, compared to all the other top riders, LaRocco of all of them probably gets the worst starts consistently, and he used to working his way up through the pack. And right here, getting passed by Hughes. Hughes showed him a way around Larry Ward, see if he can do the same thing. Larry's got a lot of company here.
LaRocco doing a nice job on the long jumps. Right on the back bumper of Larry Ward. You know, it really makes it interesting, too, this meandering through the trees. You have to use some finesse, not your power.
Well, you don't want to hit a tree. You can see they've got them all hay baled off. They're pretty much out of the way and off to the side of the racetrack enough, so you got a little extra cushion there if you get out of control. But it is nice, like Marty said, you go in and out of the shade. Some of the areas of the track are a little softer, a little tackier, you get better traction. Then you move out into these sections where you can see it gets a lot drier and a little more slick, requires more finesse.
LaRocco looking for his opportunity with Larry Ward, and he finds it, but Ward comes streaming back.
Well, LaRocco has been excellent at looking for different lines and making them work. Every time he's behind a rider, you can see he's not following, and there's a little something different right there. He's getting through that section pretty quick.
LaRocco's best moto finish is second at Buchanan. Also a major factor, LaRocco has been in McGrath not winning some overalls in his battle with Jeremy. Emig, McGrath, Albertine, the top threes. We'll be back with more 250 action in a moment. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed as we take a look at our leader here in Moto number 1, Jeff Emig. A lot of people gave Emig static for being a bridesmaid. In the first 7 races of the season, he had 2 wins and 5 second-place finishes. Only 1 moto win. But he has stayed close to Jeremy McGrath all the way. Jeff Emig has played a huge role in this year's Supercross and Motocross seasons. For one thing, he's been known as the streak breaker, interrupting Jeremy McGrath's historic win streak. It's been a career charged with highs and lows. For Jeff Emig, lackluster season beginnings are a frustrating reality.
The crowd goes bananas. Is down is Jeff Emig. Oh my goodness.
But rhythmic improvement is also standard for the 26-year-old Kawasaki rider.
It is Jeff Emig.
I don't believe it, Art. I don't think Emig does either.
With 8 motos remaining in the Outdoor National Championship, there is still a very good chance for Jeff to upset rival Jeremy McGrath for the title. Playing catch-up is growing tiresome, and he wants that title no matter what. But even Jeff himself is unsure as to why catch-up is the standard for his image. And with his switch to the green team, he knew there were expectations to live up to.
At the beginning of '96, when I switched to ride a Team Kawasaki, both my teammates were riding extremely well. You know, Damon Huffman and Ryan Hughes, those guys, they were really hungry. Me, on the other hand, I wasn't doing so hot. I don't know why the beginning of the year for me is so tough. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I mean, I was trying to focus on what I thought that I had to do rather than just going out and doing it. I guess I'm just not very good at just having the lead. Like, I always ride better when I have to play catch-up.
But now Jeff realizes that the year is almost over, and although he's been able to stop McGrath in some of this season's battles, the mission is far from being over.
St. Louis Supercross was really, it was another one of those really moving races. You know, some people, you know, like McGrath and Stanton and stuff, you know, they put together years of winning Supercrosses, and you know, but that one Supercross, I mean, it felt like I'd won the world that day. Then I knew that my training and my riding was back up to par, you know, where it should be. And I won Mount Morris. I didn't win a moto, but I was real consistent, and I rode real hard that day. I gave it 100%, and I came away with the overall. And then I went on, and I've won the Redbud. It's like a magical place for me. I go there. I've won a moto there every year for the past 6 years. I needed that race this year, you know, to go fast again and to prove to myself and to all the other riders that I was going to win, and that McGrath just wasn't going to take every race.
Emig knows the focus and hard work it takes to win. He also realizes all work and no play means burnout.
Well, on the weekends off that we've had this summer, I really stayed away from the motorcycle some, and you know, went to Lake Havasu, spent some time with my girlfriend Lonnie. I've been kind of tasting all of the fruits of life.
Basically, what it amounts to is that I hang out with my friends. Chad Pedersen, Ryan Hughes, Denny Stevenson. You know, you got Phil Lawrence, and you got my mechanic, Jeremy. We're all here.
A 125 national title and 4 appearances on the U.S. Motocross to Nations team. Sounds like a pretty good resume, but it's not good enough for Jeff Emig.
I've started from the very bottom level, and I've made it all the way up to where I'm at now. I guess, you know, in another 5 years, people are going to ask me, wow, you know, did you think that you could win a Supercross championship and this and that? I mean, providing that I do. I'm going to say, wow, I never, you know, I'm just going with the flow. I'm just doing what I know how to do best, and that's ride a motorcycle.
Last year at this time, Emig trailed this man, Jeremy McGrath, by only 19 points. Emig taking a 3rd overall with a 2-3. Jeremy really strutting his stuff here last year.
Well, it's a supercross style racetrack, so if he's going to strut, this is the best place to do it. Although his timing through that big monster double jump section back there just looked a little off. He kind of was on the brakes real hard before one, landed a little short, and then he jumped a little bit too far past the other one. So yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, that each lap they come through there, they're just a little bit different. But that time in particular, it didn't look like he went to do it the fastest possible way.
Jeremy McGrath in 2nd place behind Jeff Emig. He's coming off 2 consecutive 2nd place overall finishes. Uncharacteristic this season of Jeremy McGrath.
Anything when he doesn't win seems kind of uncharacteristic after the way he started out the season.
So it's Emig, McGrath, and Albertine now in 3rd with Ryan Hughes in 4th. More action coming up.
At Honda.
Cross action from Troy, Ohio, and Jeff Emig, number 2, is just unwilling to slow up for Jeremy McGrath. We're on a final lap right now, and Jeremy's just been unable to really challenge him, actually.
Well, Emig has done well enough this season by finishing 2nd so much. There you go. It's like a little half knack there, not quite a full. But if he's able to hold on to this moto win right here, this would be the 3rd week in a row, or 3rd race in a row where he's been able to win a moto. And he's got 2 overalls on the season, and he could be heading for another one here today. So Emig really starting to look good, and the confidence coming with it.
I think the big thing, David, is he's been able to, once he gets out in front now, he knows that he can stay out there and focus ahead, not worry about Jeremy McGrath, which was the case maybe last year and the beginning of this year.
And understandably so, because Jeremy caught him so quickly at so many races and kept catching him from behind and winning. And I think he was always thinking about, okay, I need to have this big of a lead so that Jeremy can't catch me, and he'd be looking over his shoulder. Now he just not intimidated by Jeremy. He's beaten him enough times and edged him out for a couple of overalls, so know that he is beatable and not think about him. Just get the job done.
Emig, McGrath, 1st and 2nd, with Albertine in 3rd. We don't want to ignore Albertine, who's been consistent there.
He's learning. He's going faster and faster. He's hanging with these guys. Couldn't quite hang with Jeremy in this moto, but hey, you know, don't try to go so fast hanging with him that you fall down and end up, you know, 12th instead of a 3rd. Stay in a position where you can get some points in the series, perhaps pick up an overall if things work out that way in the 2nd moto.
Emig's teammate Hughes in 4th position, and Larocco would round out the top 5 here on our final lap. But Jeff Emig, extremely popular with the motocross fans.
He does a lot to make sure of that. He does a lot of showing off, and he acknowledges the fans. He'll be hanging around long after the race. He's signing autographs.
A big victory for Jeff Emig here in moto number 1, as Emig, McGrath, Albertine, Hughes, and Larocco hold true on that final lap, finishing in the top 5. Good finish for Swink and Roy. Marty's with our winner right now. Let's go to Marty Reed.
What can we say? That was a very impressive run.
Yeah, I could see that those guys were right behind me off the start, and I just pulled a great hole shot again. I mean, the Kawasaki hooked up with the Bridgestone tires, the combinations that we have out of the gate are just great. You know, I just watched McGrath and everybody else just, you know, I just watched them disappear about 10 feet out.
I wanted to ask you about tires, because right before the start of the race, we pointed out the difference in the tire combinations that you and Jeremy had picked, and obviously, from what you're saying, you think you got the right one.
Yeah, well, I'm real happy with the Bridgestones that they're supplying us. We did a lot of testing with them this year, and they've got some really great tires for these outdoor races.
Believe it or not, this is the first 2nd place that Jeremy has placed in a moto all season long, to go with 13 wins. Marty's with him.
Jeremy, right before the start of the race, we were checking tire combinations. Notice a big difference between yours and Jeff's. How much of a part did that play in this one?
Well, probably not much. You know, tires make a difference, but this track has so much traction that tires probably don't make that much here.
What was the key for you? Just the start again?
Yeah, you know, I didn't get such a good start. I came out about 4th or something, past Larry Ward, past a couple guys on the first lap, and you know, and I was just a little slow in the back section. It's slippery all around, and maybe I just wasn't having some good lines, but Jeff was riding a little bit better that time.
What are you going to do different for the 2nd moto?
Well, I'm going to try and get myself more motivated and make a few changes to the bike, and should be about it. Come out and tough it out.
Number 16, Greg Albertine, coming off the overall victory at Unadilla, did himself proud with a 3rd place finish, and Marty's with him now.
I know you probably aren't as happy as you should be with third place, but it was a good follow-up to what's happened the last week at Unadilla.
Absolutely, you know, it's contract time now, and I've been trying so hard for the last year and a half, you know, and that's what's been putting me on the ground a lot. So now I just, you know, I was going out there and Emig was going really well, and McGrath was pushing me, so, you know, instead of trying to go over my limit, I just rode a smart race, and, you know, Jeremy passed me, and I just tried to hang with him, but the humidity's pretty tough out here. It's really hot.
What can you do differently for the second moto? Do you have to wait for them to make a mistake, or is there something you can change in the bike or within yourself?
Well, at this level, the guys don't make too many mistakes, and, you know, it's something I've got to do, just put that extra bit more effort in and, you know, save myself for the second motor. Now I can put everything I've got in.
The young man who's never really given up despite his lack of success in hard spills earlier in the season. We'll be back with Moto number 2 from Troy, Ohio. Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
So much emphasis is put on the rider out there on the racetrack, but a race can be won or lost right here in the pits.
Welcome back to Kenworthy's Motocross Park. It was evident in Moto number 1 that Jeff Emig is unwilling to concede the title to Jeremy McGrath. He's hanging close all the way.
He's going to make him earn it, and if Jeff doesn't earn the 250 title, he's got to get something. We got to give him something for the best hole shots of the season. This guy has been incredible off the gate.
What about Jeremy McGrath now? He's shown us he can come back in the second moto.
Well, I think maybe he's planning on doing that, because in the first moto, it seemed like once he got into second, he put his head down and went hard for a couple laps. Didn't make up any time on Emig, and I think it looked like he just kind of backed off, and hoping that second moto is going to be a little different story.
Albertine using his head.
Finally, I think now that he's got a moto win and an overall win, he's starting to back off, and that's what it takes. You have to learn how to win, and sometimes that means backing off a little bit.
This is a tough sport. There's no question about that. Supercross, you've got 20 laps, and it takes a lot of nice technique out there for show. But then in motocross, 2 30-minute motos.
Well, I think it's a lot tougher, especially because you're outdoors. This is the time of the year where it's a little bit hotter. It's obviously a lot longer. You've got time between motos. The track changes a little bit, and this is basically a huge Supercross track, and Supercross is only 20-lap final. Here you got 30 minutes plus 2 laps twice, so it's going to take its toll.
Jeff Emig in Moto number 1, a little bit lucky with those streamers wrapping up that he didn't lose his brakes. Marty Reed gives us an update.
Well, we wanted to show you what was left of that streamer that got caught up in Jeff Emig's wheel. You can see that they really got lucky here from the standpoint of, you can see where some of the paint is peeled off, but it did not get jammed up into the caliper. If that would have happened, as Jeremy Albrecht talked about during the race, it would have been a real mess for him. And I guess the question is, Jeremy, how lucky do you feel?
Well, I feel real lucky. You know, I used up one of my lives, so I guess I got 8 left. And he didn't even know it was in there, so that was really nice. He said he seen the banners were there. Next lap he came around and they were gone, but he didn't know where they went. So
he didn't mention it in the post-race interview like there was no problem. In fact, he was talking about how great the tires were.
Yeah, he had no idea. He didn't even know it was in there. So we definitely had a good race.
Well, every now and then the brakes have to go your way, and I guess I ought to give this to you. You might want to frame it if you win this one.
Okay, thanks.
Good job.
Thanks.
Well, he got a mechanic to smile in the pits between motos. That's quite an accomplishment.
Anytime your rider wins, you got something to smile about. That was a huge distraction for Greg Albertine, too, having to chase that banner around. You know, it's like stepping on the back of somebody's shoe and giving them a flat.
Moto 2, they're revving up, ready to go. Let's see if Emig can get another hole shot. He sure has put the traction down to get him recently. The chase to the first turn, and guess who? Number 2, Emig. But Jeremy, once again, is right there.
A little bit better than this first moto. He had to work his way through a few riders, including Larry Ward, to get into second the first moto, but here he's right on Emig.
Emig, McGrath, 1 and 2. As the order starts to change behind those two, it'll come out Larry Ward, number 6. Hughes, a good start, number 5, just to the left of Ward, and that's Albertine to the right, number 16.
Right away, Jeremy not following, electing to take this a little different line than Emig everywhere. Wants to show him a wheel, and he wants to keep Emig guessing.
Emig trying to protect his line with Jeremy McGrath, anxious to take the lead early, and does so to the inside.
It looks like Emig's going to lose another spot, too. Albertine sneaks around, follows Jeremy around. Emig not going to give it up, though. They're still banging. Look at, they get stuck.
Oh. It looks like Albertine has taken over second. Yes, he has. Team Suzuki number 16, Greg Albertine. Larry Ward in third.
Now this is where Jeremy really shines, gets out front early, pulls that tearaway. He's got the confidence to go wide right there. Knew he had enough of a lead to protect it over Albertine, and And Albertine getting tangled with Emick. Emick got the short end of the stick there. I don't see him coming through. He lost a lot of positions. There he is on the outside.
Bradshaw, number 28, in front of Hughes. Here's LaRocco, number 8. Mid-pack, number 13, Phil Lawrence, a privateer.
Not too bad of a start for LaRocco. At least he can see the leaders. They all seem to be running about the same pace in the early laps, so he won't lose too much time on Jeremy.
Be interesting to see if number 6 Larry Ward can hold his position or better his position to possibly move up on the podium.
Bradshaw up in there this moto has got a pretty good start right behind Larry Ward. Bradshaw been a little quiet lately. We haven't got our cameras on him for one reason or another. He's been coming from bad starts, but certainly on the pace.
It's Hughes in front of Emick, so what's...
If you're a real car enthusiast, you should be reading Auto Week every week. For true car lovers, once a month is not enough.
Auto Week has the latest news because it's a weekly. You can stay up on top of everything.
So here in Troy, Ohio, and our leader, Jeremy McGrath, as we check number 28 out, Damon Bradshaw. Rather uneventful season with 2 exceptions, a podium third place finish at Glen Helen, the second place moto at Southwick. Jeremy McGrath, Albertine, Ward, Bradshaw. And then Hughes, number 5, with his teammate Jeff Emick behind him. I think it's interesting now as Emick tries to make a move right here. But Hughes hasn't gotten those orders.
Yeah, he couldn't do it. Now look at all the time. And
Jeremy McGrath went down. This changes the whole complexion of things. Albertine is our new leader.
Well, Jeremy just let the front end wash out. That's one of the slickest places on the racetrack. A sharp little left-hander threw kind of an off camber, and his front wheel apparently went over that rut and just washed out. It was in a place, though, where he was able to get up quickly and didn't lose that much time. But can you imagine had Emick moved around his teammate Hughes? He'd be a little bit closer to Jeremy right now, and that overall would still look like a real possibility.
How lucky is it that you're able to keep that motor running so you can get right up and going again?
Well, he'd have lost all these spots had he kept it, not kept it running. So, yeah, he's very lucky.
Albertine has taken over the lead, but Jeremy McGrath is pursuing. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Sean, the team was saying they wanted a podium. It looks like right now Larry's got the best chance.
Yeah, he showed really strong in first moto. If he has a bad moto, it's usually his first moto. He ended up 6, so 6-3. I'm not sure. I didn't check the math between motos, but it should be able to get him up there 4th or 3rd, I think.
Well, he's still in contact with the lead too, Albertine and Jeremy.
Yeah, for sure. I think McGrath made a mistake somewhere, and that let Albie get by him, and those two had a battle with each other to figure out who was going to lead the race, and Larry caught up to him, so hopefully they'll be able to do something right on their tail now.
Well, the complexion has certainly changed as Jeremy McGrath tried to come back now on Greg Albertine to the right. Jeremy McGrath in the jump section makes things look a little easy, even though he jammed that last one. Looks back to see where Greg Albertine is.
He knows he's got enough breathing room right there, and you know, it's amazing the resolve Jeremy has to fall down like that, get up, regather himself that quickly, move around a very fast Albertine and back into the lead. This could really make the difference today for him getting an overall.
So Jeremy McGrath regains the lead after uncharacteristically going down to the dirt.
You know, Jeremy's, the only thing he seems to lack this season at times is his motivation. He's openly said to us after losing some of these motos that, well, I just wasn't motivated out there. Between motos, he makes that adjustment, comes out ready to fight.
Mike LaRocco going down here in Moto 2. He's already got a sore shoulder.
I thought he was going to collect those banners, but he was able to get away without sucking him into the wheel. But for Jeremy, I think he's got that added motivation between motos. Then he fell down. I think he irritated himself a little bit more. Now he's real motivated and pulled out a pretty good lead.
Honda Troy fans have got to be jumping up and down because Larry Ward is putting the heat on second place Greg Albertine.
Larry Ward is looking good in this moto. He faded back a little bit in the first moto, but here he's looking strong. He's always ridden well here. He likes the Supercross style racetracks, and he's definitely staying in contact with Albertine. Emick has moved around Ryan Hughes and is putting the pressure on both these guys. The only way Emick could get the overall here today is to get up there and pass Jeremy for the win. So Jeremy's doing what he needs to do to pad his points lead and to pick up another overall this season.
If two riders tie in the placement of the motos, then it's the second moto that breaks the tie. So that's why Emick would have to beat Jeremy McGrath to take the overall. It is McGrath, Albertine, Ward, Emick, and Ryan Hughes are top 5.
There you see, looks like Emick's mechanic, yeah, Jeremy Albright, ride to win. There's really nothing else out there for him. He's got to ride to win. He's got to beat Jeremy in this moto. if he gets second in this moto, which would be a great ride, he's still going to tie on points.
Gets hung up there with Larry Ward, losing valuable time to Jeremy McGrath, who doesn't have such an obstacle.
Well, he already got tied up with Albertine, and now he's fighting for a line with Larry Ward, and Ward is not going to give it up.
He gives him a nice little bump there.
Yeah, he had to go out into that plowed up dirt and almost lost that spot to Ryan Hughes again.
Larry Ward hanging in there, looking for his best finish of the season.
He doesn't care who's back there. He doesn't care what Emig's trying to do or who's going to get the overall. He just knows he wants to go as fast as he can, not let anybody by.
With podium position still to be determined as we take a look at the Honda field summary. McGrath, Albertine, and Ward in a good position. Back in the second moto now for 250 action from Troy, Ohio, as Jeremy McGrath is inching out his lead with Albertine, number 16, in second. Larry Ward really holding on nicely to third. In fact, he's putting the challenge to Albertine right now for second place. That would put the Honda Troy plant on a podium. If he could hold on to second place, Larry Ward.
Great move. He came over that double jump, knew he needed to be a little bit closer to the inside, and stuck his leg out there for a little counterbalance. He's only able to do that double right there. Albertine does the triple, almost gets him back, but looks like Larry will hold on to that inside line. Those long legs really pay off through a section like that.
Ward, Albertine, Emig, and Hughes, 2 through 5.
What a great battle for second. Jeremy wasn't out here. It'd be a great battle for the lead anyway. He's kind of spoiling it, and it just shows how good the guy is. I mean, he fell down in this moto, got up. Now he's got a big lead, and these guys are battling for second.
But there's nothing to say he might not go down again.
True, and that's what they got to hope for. If you're Emig, you want to give it everything you got. Just like his mechanic said, race for the win. You never know what can happen, and in most cases, applying a little pressure will force things to happen.
Larry Ward, a comfortable second place now, as Albertine really hasn't been able to come back on him. But Emig is looking for any opportunity to move into third.
I love that camera shot right there. You see how close those guys get and how they have to actually lean the bike out around the inside corner marker and keep their body leaned into the corner just to have enough room to get through there in that berm.
Hughes and Emig look like caged animals behind Albertine here.
Well, Albertine is, I think, amongst some of the top riders, a little bit scary to ride near or around or behind, because if you look at his season, he has been known to throw it away, and you don't want to get caught up in it. But it looks to me like right here, Albertine's riding very smooth. He timed all those jumps nice. Didn't even have to put his leg out for that corner. Just put it all together. It looks to me like he's trying to conserve a little energy, though, and that might be a mistake right here.
Emig makes the slick move to the inside after an outside swing. Emig, who got the whole shot in both motos, but in this moto had to come from behind. Slipping back to 6th place, has now moved up to 3rd.
He got through that berm fantastic. You see Albertine got out of there, and his front wheel was way to the inside, so he's actually sliding through that berm, scrubbing off a little speed. So Emig, great balance through there. You see he already pulled away just a few bike lengths there from Albertine, and it's little sections like that through the berm, staying in it exactly right and hooking up with all the power to the ground that make the difference all the way around the racetrack.
Not all great riders had that ability to hit a spot exactly.
No, and I can remember an interview with Hannah talking about Kevin Windham, saying this kid can come off a huge triple jump and hit a line, you know, this big, holding his fingers up like 4 inches wide. He could never do that. So for Emig, he's got great balance, and he's not only got the determination, but the finesse and the talent to go along with it.
Jeremy McGrath, Larry Ward, Jeff Emig, now our new top 3.
Now, of course, after I just brought up how good Jeff Emig's timing and finesse is, just cased it off that little triple there.
Time now for our Honda riding tip with Skip Norfolk.
Practice is the most important thing you can do during the week to prepare yourself for the weekend race. Always ride with a friend. Never ride by yourself. Try to take a cell phone. That way, if you need to get in touch with someone in an emergency situation, you got it right there with you. The third thing is a fanny pack or a toolbox. Take tools that you need to work on your bike. Take wrenches that'll fit every nut and bolt on your bike. A screwdriver, pair of pliers, vice grips, safety wire, zip ties, and also some duct tape. That way, if something goes wrong while you're out riding, you'll be able to prepare your bike and continue racing. And also, don't forget your spark plug and spark plug wrench that always seem to go up bad on you when you're out riding. For the 1-800-COLLECT-FOX Honda Racing Team, I'm Skip Norfolk.
Thank you, Skip. Not only good with the wrenches, but not a bad yapper.
He's pretty good, and that's part of the package that makes Jeremy so successful, because you know that he's rapping in Jeremy's ear between motos, and apparently said the right things today because Jeremy's motivated this time.
Good communication between those two ever since they started out together with Team Green before moving over to Honda. Ward is hot right now. Larry Ward is doing all the right things. We caught up with him before the race.
Well, this track's always been one of my favorite tracks. I've always had some good results here, and you know, last week it was a lot of fun. I got the good start. I led for a long time, and then once Jeremy did get by me, you know, I stayed right there with him for a long time. So it definitely gave myself a lot more confidence outdoors. I have a ton of confidence on a Supercross style track, but outdoors, you know, I lack a little, and that definitely boosted me a lot. This track's outdoor, but yet it has a lot of Supercross sections, so you know, I'm looking forward to it today. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, it's a lot more fun being where he is right now with a chance to hit the podium.
Yeah, anytime you're having a good moto, of course it's fun out there. It looks like Emig working his way around the lapper. He's still not making much time on Larry Ward. He's still got a comfortable lead, and I think it looks to me like right now he's just having a good time. It shows, and he's got his eyes more set on Jeremy McGrath than worrying about Emig coming up from behind.
I wonder if he's got any bonus money on this one, if a Honda of Troy bike and their home track
wouldn't surprise me.
Gets a chance on that.
Hey, whatever it takes to motivate these guys, I'm sure it's worth it. But then you set a standard, and these guys are looking for it elsewhere, too.
Damon Bradshaw zipping through our camera range. Number 28. Here's number 16, Albertine. What an up and down day it's been competitive-wise for him. Taking over the lead when Jeremy went down, and then Jeremy coming back to regain the lead. We see a few Jeff Emig fans in the background, and we'll be back with more 250 action to finish this Moto 2 in a moment. Coverage of AMA Motocross is being brought to you by the reigning Supercross 125 and 250 outdoor champions, Honda. Come ride with us. Time is on this man's side because it's running out. Jeremy McGrath leading our Moto number 2 for the 250s at Kenworthy.
Can't keep a good man down. Every time he has a bad moto, he comes right back to win the next one or get the overall or both. And it's just been amazing. He's won a moto, I guess, right? As every single race this season, he's at least won a moto there. Today, it looks like he's going to get the overall to boot.
This would be his 6th overall victory on the season.
I go right back to saying, if you stop action Jeremy anywhere around the racetrack, he looks like he means business, like he's in a real hurry. Look how far forward he is right there. It's in the later stages of the race where he doesn't have to be aggressive, and look at him. He's just charging so hard. He jumps way past where everyone else lands, comes into that corner real quick, lays it over, gets on the gas quick. Look at him. He's just charging everywhere like it's the first lap.
Going back to last year, Jeremy had 11 consecutive moto wins, 6 consecutive overalls before Mount Morris of this year. He won 3 straight this season, of course, but took a 3rd at Mount Morris with a 5-1. Didn't take him long to get back, though, at 2 wins and then 2 second-place overalls before this race here, which would give him another overall victory.
That was pretty slick, too. He came over that jump there just before a little stair-step uphill. I don't know what you want to call it, a little staircase section going up, and he just stayed on the gas and held a wheelie all the way into it so he could kind of pre-jump off the top. The guy just has neat little techniques everywhere around the racetrack that not only faster but save energy.
It's a long way back to Ward in 2nd place, but Ward now is getting a challenge from Emig.
Well, we'll see what Larry Ward's made of right here. This is his place. He likes it. Emig's going to have to earn it. As long as he stays in his lines and doesn't make any mistakes, he should be able to hang on to 2nd here.
Now, this will be interesting because Emig, of course, would not lose any points to Jeremy McGrath if he could take 2nd place. Whoa. Oh, Emig almost went flying off.
Now, he's had to work for this, everything he's got in this moto, getting tangled early with Albertine, having to come up from behind, battle with his teammate. Little mistake right there, just going for the last-ditch effort to try to get around a motivated Larry Ward right now, and it's not going to be easy.
McGrath about 5 to 6 seconds ahead of Larry Ward.
Not that far behind Jeremy McGrath right here. McGrath is let up just a little bit, and he's closing laps, and maybe just a little too much. Look at them, they're very close.
Well, anything could happen, that's for sure. It happens very quickly at motocross. McGrath, Ward in 2nd, Emig a close 3rd.
Emig just flew off that jump right there. He jumped half again, or twice as far as everyone else has been jumping. He's doing everything he can. You can see he wants this bad. doesn't want to lose any more points to Jeremy. He's given it everything he has today, and he's still going to lose points to Jeremy, who had a real lackadaisical first moto, in his own words.
Yeah, non-motivated. And it looked like he was such as he came across the finish line with the checkered flag waving. Jeremy looks back, gives the thumbs up to the interview area, so Marty doesn't have to walk too far.
Kind of a mini fist pump there for Skip. Well, yeah, we got it done. Wasn't pretty, but we did it.
McGrath, Ward, Emig, Hughes a 4th, and Greg Albertine hanging on for a 5th place. LaRocco in 6th, Damon Bradshaw, not a bad performance by Damon in 7th. Kyle Lewis, Phil Lawrence, and Brian Swink rounding out our top 10. As far as the overall, once again, it's Jeremy, with Jeff Emig in 2nd. Larry Ward, the first podium ever for a Honda of Troy rider, and what a great place to have that happen.
Well, that's got to make Phil Alderton happy, the owner of Honda of Troy. What a great place for them to have a great finish like that from Larry Ward. And next season looks like it's going to be even a better one. They're going to keep Larry Ward. Looks like Michael Craig will stay with him, and can't wait to see how Mike Kudrowski is going to fare.
But today, this young man wears the crown. He has a 47-point lead now, as you saw, as far as the championship race, with Millville, Washougal, Binghamton, and Delmont left on the season. Art Ekman for David Bailey and Marty Reed and our entire crew. Thanks for being with us. Please join us next from Millville.